Good evening, everybody. It's Nate. I'm here to say hello to everybody and give you an update on the race. And we're going to talk with some guests tonight, some people from our team. I think I like to hear you guys in the background. Could some of you guys put yourself on mute or something just for the beginning of this? Thank you. So we are here to talk about, talk about a lot of things. But I think you may have seen you may have saw the Republican National Committee absolutely bizarre convention. The ratings were low. You may have not saw it. I don't know, but I watched it, and it was like a bizarro world to me. It was very, very troubling. So I want to have some guests on to talk about it and talk about the next 9 weeks of the campaign. There's not a lot of time left. Now, I've been doing this for 3 years. And win or lose, this phase of it is over. So, I have a lot of anxiety about that because I really want to win. And it's really not for me only. It's for everybody who's put so much time and effort into this race. And I'm grateful to every single one of you. So let's just start it off. Let's get on. We got some people on the line, I think. Amber, are you there?
I'm here.
Peter, are you there?
Sure am.
Maybe not. Oh, you there? Okay. Hey, I see you. Amber, how are you first and foremost?
I'm doing so good, Nate. How are you?
Good. You don't sound like it.
No, I am. It's just been a long day.
Why don't you tell people what we do all day?
What I do with Nate all day is listen to Nate sing. Mostly hard rock, I think, judging from the tone of his voice. We call a lot of prospective donors and talk to people all day. And I'm on the other line and, taking notes, and he's just trying to get his message out across the country and all the good things that we're trying to do.
So Amber has the hardest job in politics. She's got to sit there and listen to me talk all day long and make phone calls. And then she does follow up on all the phone calls. So if someone says, yeah, I'm interested in learning more about your race, Amber's the one who has to send the emails and the prospectus and put together. Listen, Amber, I have nothing but respect for you. It's hard enough for me to be making these calls, and you're there right there with me listening, and I'm grateful. And it means a lot. And I think if most people knew what actually went into running for office, I think they'd be shocked. How about you?
I don't think they'd run for office. I really don't. There's so many working parts, and I wish people could see the intricacies of running for office and everything that we do on a day-to-day basis.
I don't want to discourage anybody out there, but I think it's important to understand the challenges that we face. I think that the system is broken, massively broken. I don't think Chris Jacobs ever did this in a day in his life. Do you? That what we do, the type of grassroots organizing and the hours and hours of phone calling. Do you think he's ever done this?
No. Well, he has all the money that he needs, right? Like, we're grassroots. We don't take any money from any corporations, and that's why we have to put the hours upon hours in every single day.
And the thing that's so amazing is we get outspent by so much, and we still are competitive. And I think that's because we have that personal touch where we talk to people every day. And you guys are out there making calls with us. You really can't buy that. But still, just because the gerrymandering, just because of the imbalance of corporate money and politics, and it really goes to both sides on this. I think that I don't know. I think Americans have to get more and more angry about how these campaigns are actually run in this country, and just how corrupt it really is. But I'm proud of the way we do it, Amber, and I'm proud of your hard work every single day. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And yeah, who else? We got Peter on the line. Peter, how are you?
I'm very good, and I'm nice and dry. But I wish I weren't. I wish I were out knocking doors and getting rained on.
Let's talk about that. You were a super volunteer in 2018 out there in Lockport, correct?
Lockport town, Lockport city. My friend James Jerome sent me to every trailer park. and ran through it. And some of the towns out there, Gasport, Middleport, we ranged. I did the little corner of 27 that exists in Niagara Falls in one night. You know, tiny little triangle in Niagara Falls.
Yep.
Arranged it all, and it's tragic, really, that we can't at least for the moment pursue our number one form of contact. But we're going to push forward. We got postcards. I'm reaching out for new phone bankers, and hook or by crook, going to do it.
But Peter, I got to say, the work you did in 2018, knocking all those doors in Lockport. And by the way, you may have noticed I have some family in Lockport. You once in a while you're running across McMurray out there. But the work you did working with James Jerome, and you guys all remember James Jerome. James, you're listening. I miss you. You were such a good young man. I think you worked on some other races since. Well, I know you did. We worked on Kate Eskew's race, and I think you worked on another congressional race. But James and you working out of that UAW hall, that magnificent UAW hall. I love that building.
I do
UAW
too.
Hall, the UAW hall in Lockport, man. The groundwork you laid, the foundation you guys laid in 2018 is still with us today, and we're building on top of that. And for those who want to continue to work with us, continue to lay that groundwork, go to voltmcmurray.com, work with me and Hunter and the gang. It's not as bad as it sounds. It can be a lot of fun. It sounds like it is work, but you don't got to put as much work as we do. You just got to do a little bit. Or go to, what's the new grassroots network they started? I can never remember the website. GRNY20. What is it again?
GRNY27.
GRNY27. What's the GR stand for?
Grassroots.
Yeah, there you go. GrassrootsNY27.com.
Correct.
I don't even know. They're doing all kinds of stuff on there. But, our campaign's doing organizing. They're doing organizing. Listen, this is really, I say it all the time. Let's go through the facts. No candidate or campaign, it's really not about me. It's about all of us. I'm not saying that in a trite way, but Peter has been part of this. Many of you have been part of this for 3 years. When the rest of the country said, forget that race, you guys never gave up. It was always important to you. And that effort is really incredible. No candidate or campaign in the country has had more crossover, meaning Republican and independent voters crossover in the country. Nowhere else. And it's really an amazing thing. And in the towns where Chris Jacobs used to represent, like Hamburg, we are killing him in those towns. It's only in the new towns that don't know him so well where he's doing better. So Niagara County is huge for us. It's my home county. We got to do better in Niagara County. We got to do better in Erie County. Everyone else, you're doing good. Stay the course. We're almost there. We don't got to go 10,000 miles. We got to go this much. And Amber, you got to hear me say that to people every single day on the phone. I'm sorry, you got to hear it again.
All the
time. What else do I say on the phone, Amber? What's my other pitch? What's my elevator? I tell them this is the birthplace of something.
This is the birthplace of Trumpism. No, you say, listen, I hate to say it, but this is the birthplace of Trumpism. That's quote, everybody, just so you know, that's a quoted McMurray. That's what he says on the phone.
Well, let me tell you why that is. I just don't want to bash Western New York. It's because a couple of years back, Trump came here. He worked with Michael Caputo, the foreign agent, and it's not slanderous to say that. He's literally a foreign agent, Michael Caputo, to do his own grassroots effort, kind of AstroTurf effort, to buy the Buffalo Bills. Now, they failed. But from that, Trump got some friends. And one of those friends was Chris Collins, the first person in Congress to support Trump. Another friend, Palladino, who was right there 4 years ago at the Republican National Committee, or convention rather, standing there with Trump, hugging him. So these folks are from here. This is the birthplace of Trumpism. And us flipping the seat won't only be good for the New York delegation, it'll be good for America. We almost got there. We came within. When the New York Times came and visited with me a couple months ago, I said, even if we come close in the special, it's a big deal. We came closer than anyone thought we could. So we're almost there, ready to win. Let's talk about the convention. Can we do that, Peter?
Sure.
Did you watch the Republican convention? What'd you think?
I tried to watch the the slow motion taped highlights or lowlights later, but I've developed a revulsion to the alternative universe, and but we know that we know that our administration has been hijacked by a criminal enterprise, a vertically integrated criminal enterprise that includes the Justice Department, and it incorporates the media, and it's a frightening thing. To me, this is the worst domestic crisis in U.S. history, and it truly is. It is literally do or die. Starting October 24th.
Yeah, it sounds like
and we need you in the House because we're going to need all the friends we can get.
It sounds like hyperbole to say that, and I know we don't want to do what they do and use scare tactics, but I'm going to say this in a pronounced and logical and reasoned way. The opponent we face is fierce, and this is not only a national problem. Sadly, there's nowhere to run. People say, "Hey, if Trump wins, I'm going to Canada. Or I'm going this." There's nowhere to run because this form of authoritarianism, illiberal democracy, as Viktor Orban in Hungary calls it, is sweeping the world. This is a global movement away from democracy, as is called by, in this book I've been reading, I keep talking about the twilight of democracy. I actually finished it, but it's called the twilight of democracy, this era, because you see in places like the UK, in places like Poland, a quick demise of a multi-party system, a quick demise of civil rights and civil liberties and the right to vote. Even in our own country, if you look over the last 20 years, those who are eligible to vote, the number is decreasing every single year. So not only is it gerrymandered, those who can actually vote is becoming less and less because of various restrictions. It's really a scary time. And, every single president we ever had, from Ronald Reagan to George Washington, reminded us that democracy is fragile and we cannot take it for granted. And we can't take it for granted. What you saw at the White House 2 days ago, we never saw anything like that in our country's history, ever. I told the story online today. When I was a small town supervisor, I had a Vote McMurray bumper sticker, not taped to my desk, on my desk. And a woman came in and saw it, and she belittled me, rightfully so, for storing campaign materials in the town hall. And I said, listen, I'll get it out of here right now. I apologize. It was an accident. Now, what we see at the White House yesterday was not an accident. They were using, it was the exact thing he was impeached for, using his office for his political gain, not for the business of the people. He turned the people's house. Just like listen, I'm someone who grew up very, very religious. He abused the sacred house of the people, and someone's got to chase him out, like Jesus chased out the tradesman from the temple. It's wrong.
I think the funniest Onion headline of all time was an essay ostensibly by Jimmy Carter, headlined, "You made me sell my peanut farm." you know. Ridiculous.
What? Because he had to give up his
yes,
personal business.
Yes, there was a big controversy at the time that he had a conflict of interest because of his family's peanut farm, and he had, and now it's beneath quaint now.
But we're beyond. Yeah, we're so far beyond him mixing his personal business with the business of his family or of the people. He is using the arms of the American government, the institutions of the American government, to squeeze out his rivals and to create a zone of dominion for himself and his family. There's never been anything like it. And if you don't believe me, I heard there's been so many presidential historians who've said there's never been anything like this in the history of our country. And you guys, one of you, Peter, you were at the house party I did last night. House party, there's no DJ and there's no the house party in politics means a small get together at someone's house. And we did a small barbecue last night, socially distancing, masks and everything. And at the party, I described my past as a small town leader and the challenges we faced. And they were significant. Like when we did those projects I worked on, there was pushback and people were mad and people threatened me. And then upping the ante, going against Chris Collins, someone who's going to jail. And then upping the ante more now, where it's like, what are we going to face if this man is reelected? And how can this Chris Jacobs character, who is at the White House, come back and actually say with a straight face he's doing something that's good in the interest of this region, in the interest of this country? It's terrifying. Go, Amber.
And
what
you
are your
know,
thoughts
Nate,
about it?
when you bring up the convention, that is not a remote event. Those fear-mongering themes that Trump is striking there are oozing down into all of our local races. Our candidates across the district are facing the same the fear, the ridiculous accusations, and the lies throughout Assembly, state Senate candidates.
There's a Korean proverb that I like. It's 위에 물 맑으면 아래 물은 맑다. And I'm probably screwing it up a little bit, but it's basically saying if the water on top is dirty, the water at the bottom will be dirty, or clear, or vice versa. And the president has dirtied the water for the entire country, and it is a serious and existential threat. And listen to President Obama, listen to Vice President Biden. This is not a normal time in our country's history, and everybody has to do their part. There's another proverb I like from Scotland that my mother used to repeat to me as a child: "Wherever thou art, act well thy part." So if you're a candidate like myself, I'm doing my best to fulfill my duty. If you're a constituent or a future constituent, do your best. Write letters to the editor. Get out there and make phone calls. Talk to your friends. Join GRNY27. Nobody can be a bystander this year. This is not acceptable. We need to stamp out Trumpism across the board, and beating him in the birthplace of Trumpism is essential. Amber, your thoughts?
No, I absolutely agree with you, and I do want to say, listening to you every day on the phone, and also listening to all the podcasts that I listen to, and constantly being bombarded with. It's a new headline of everything that he's done and continues to do, Trump, every 5 minutes, and I'm sure it's desensitizing to some. It's like mentally just, it hurts. It's anguish, and I think you're absolutely right that this being the birthplace of Trumpism, that this is a place that for us to win, it definitely sends a huge statement to Washington, and I'm really glad that I'm a part of it.
I'm glad you're a part of it too. You're great. You're doing a great job, and I'm proud of you. I really am.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the convention for a second. A couple things. So, Peter, you didn't watch it. I watched it. I felt it was my job to watch it, and I watched it, and it was physically sickening. There's two things I want to talk about. The two key parts that are. We talked about the fact that he's violating federal law by having it at the White House and using, he used people. He told people that people weren't aware they were part of the convention. Those people that were naturalized citizens. The whole thing was schizophrenic because on one hand they'd say we're pro immigrant, and the next thing they would say is we're not pro immigrant. It was completely schizophrenic. But the two things that stood out to me the most were the president's speech, which it was over an hour long. The audience was spiteful and hateful, sweating at each other. I don't know if you saw it. Did you guys see Rudy Giuliani?
Yes.
Did you see it?
Yes.
Sweating and rubbing it on people, and it was horrific. It was physically repulsive. And then did you guys, Kimberly Guilfoyle?
Oh, good.
Did you see it?
Yes.
I saw some of it, and I like you said, it's repulsive. I had to turn it. Why are you screaming? I don't. It
reminded me of televangelism. It reminded me of the Bakers or the Falwells. We know about them, right? It reminded me of somebody in the morning screaming, saying, "Give me money, I'll save your soul." It was the same. It was a mixture of that and like, the smart. What is that guy? What is the pillow guy that was on there? What was his name? The infomercial guy.
Oh, Mr. Pillow. I don't know his name.
Whatever that. It was like infomercial meets televangelism. It was not it was not normal. What I saw from Obama and Biden was very fireside chat, looking into the camera, being calm and thoughtful. Kimberly Guilfoyle was just a mashup of the worst of American culture. It was like, Carnival Barker meets televangelist. It was scary. I mean, you want me to do an imitation and make every single person on Facebook run away?
Please don't. I know you're going to do it tomorrow on the phone. Please don't do it right now.
It was scary, right?
It was.
You would think someone who worked for a television network would know that you don't have to scream into a microphone, but no. And it's unfortunate that
I remember the good old days when we were worried about Howard Dean screaming a little bit, and we were like, "Oh, how dare he!" Right. And this woman is that was a taped performance. It wasn't an accident. They wanted it to be delivered that way.
Right.
That's really terrifying. Go ahead. I must have lost you guys. Did I lose you guys?
No, we're here. I think you were talking to Peter. Peter, go ahead. What were you going to say?
What happens, I think, to voters, and if I could go out and speak to every single voter in 27, and I sure as hell would like to try, but I would tell them, put Washington aside. This is not about Washington. This is about hiring the best person for your district, for your family, for your children, for our future. Don't look at the train wreck down there. It's about us here. But that static at a convention like that prevents people from seeing clearly, and it's beyond tragic.
I agree with you to an extent, but I need them to look, and I need them to realize this is not about identity, not about tribe.
Right.
It's about what's in the interest of your family. Because the only reason someone would vote for Donald Trump is if you feel for some reason he's part of your tribe or your identity. Forget that. What's in your best interest as a father, as a mother,
right,
as a member of Western New York. It cannot be to vote for Chris Jacobs and to vote for Donald Trump. It can't be. What did they look at? The record is, if you're voting for his record, I don't even know what the record is. 180,000 people dead. They don't even acknowledge the virus is real. How many people are going to catch the virus of the thing that happened at the convention? It is. You have to turn off common sense and reason to be part of that movement, and it's scary. It really is scary. Okay, sorry to be so gloom and doom, but you have to be. I feel I need to grab people and say, come on, we need to get people out to the polls. So I've been talking a lot about 1984. Did you guys read that in high school? I'm sure you did.
Orwell, yes, absolutely.
So George Orwell's 1984. And the thing that people forget about 1984 is that it wasn't like North Korea. It wasn't all by, even North Korea isn't like North Korea like we think it is. The people there in the book and in some of those extremist regimes, they like the regimes. Or as Christopher Hitchens, the author, who had a bit of a rough patch towards the end of his life, but was a very smart man. He wrote an essay once called "Do the Slaves Love Their Chains?" about North Korea. And that's what 1984 is about. It's not about people being tortured or forced to comply. It's about the fact that they willingly comply with Big Brother. And the story is very chilling if you read it in modern day with the modern view. Everyone's looking at their phones, but they don't have phones. The screens that are around them, the screens that are in their houses. They're obsessed with entertainment. They're lulled into complacency because they're so used to seeing such bizarre news, and they're almost in a trance. They don't even have the willpower to act. And at the same time, they're proud of Big Brother. And all of the natural feelings they have are taken away from them. At the same time, they're overly indulged. And the most chilling line in literature is probably the last line of the book, where Winston says, "I finally love Big Brother," and he means it. So he's tortured. He lost his dignity, his humanity, and he's grateful that he finally loves Big Brother like he's supposed to. And I'm afraid that when I see these Trump flags and I see this man who's literally killing us, and people still love him, that it's even more dangerous than we want it to be, because they're choosing it. They're choosing it willfully, and so many of our brothers, they're intoxicated on a culture that's made them desensitized to the horrors of Washington. And I just think it's really a tipping point for the country. Go ahead.
My question, Nate, and I constantly think about this again with everything that I read and I'm a part of, not just locally, but obviously also with the campaign, is in 4 short years, I feel like we've gotten to this, like you say, tipping point somehow. Like, I still don't understand how we've gotten here. I only have my experience, my own personal experience, and I feel like every day it's constant. Like I said, it's bam, 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 bam. Is it because we've been hit with so much turmoil and chaos and manufactured, oh goodness, I don't even know what, that things just keep rolling and we're so caught up that
it's part of it. It's part of the fact that we don't have time to address it, and most people just need to get food on the table, and they don't have time, the luxury to think about these things.
Right.
But beyond that, it's been a 40-year attack on the middle class that's made it so you don't have the effort, or the time, or the willpower to respond. 40 years they've been distrust. So let me just talk about it. There's a guy named Friedman. He was a Chicago School of Economics professor or scholar. He won the Nobel Prize. And his whole idea, if I can sum it up in a word, is trickle-down economics.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that we should empower the rich, and the middle class doesn't matter. That if you empower the rich, it trickles down. And that's been the predominant American theory for 40 years, since Ronald Reagan, really. Even to some extent since Jimmy Carter. And what's happened in this country is when Hillary lost, we blamed Hillary for being a horrible, horrible person and a horrible, horrible candidate. Now, I wasn't the biggest Hillary supporter in the world, but the scapegoating of Hillary was the first attempt to explain Trump. Oh, it was because she was such a bad candidate, right?
Right.
The second scapegoating was, well, it's really the economic anxiety that people feel in this country. And it's because of globalization. And so globalization became the second great scapegoat. Well, globalization, there's some global things we could benefit from, let's be honest. In Europe, everybody is guaranteed 4 weeks of paid vacation every single year. Everybody, under the law of the European Union. I think in America, there's the protections for labor. You can see as unionization has gone down, so have wages, so has the middle class. It's directly corresponds. It's a direct correlation. As unions become weaker, the middle class has become smaller. And so I think that this has been going on for a long time, and that Donald Trump is just a crafty guy who's going to exploit how people feel left behind. And, the way that demagogues do that, first and foremost, is to say, don't look up. Don't look at the people who are in charge. Don't look at the people who have destroyed the middle class. Look at the outsiders. It's really these migrant laborers who did it to you. It's really foreigners who did it to you. It's really African Americans. This is the argument that Trump uses. And, Trump, in many ways, he mimics some of the most horrible despots we've ever seen with his language about minorities, but not only that, about people who are physically handicapped. I mean, there's stories about cabinet meetings where his cabinet members have said, shoot people at the border, and especially don't let in people that don't have enough fingers or toes or weird foreheads. That's a quote. So I think he is the result of 40 years of undermining the middle class on both sides of the aisle that has led us to a place where people feel so desperate that they're hoping this guy, who is clearly just a criminal and a grifter, will save them.
But how do you get to that point where you think that, and I'm sorry, Peter, I'm taking all your time as well.
No, please, of course. But I think for the Republican Party in general, which really needs, and we need to, when Trump goes, and he will, I firmly believe, the job is not done. he hijacked, an empty, amoral house in this party, and I can't believe that people like McConnell or even Chris Jacobs truly believe the nonsense that they spout and defending the nonsense that Trump spouts. But I just have to believe that there's so much secret, dark money at stake for all of these people and the donor class that they reward, that makes them do these things, and it's nothing short of satanic.
Yeah, let's be careful with the Satanism references, though, because you can see what's happening with that stuff on the internet too.
Well, good point. Yes, good point. Yes.
QAnon and this nonsense.
Evil.
Go ahead. What were you saying, Amber?
I was going to say, I don't think they necessarily believe it, but they have seen what Donald Trump and his crowd has done to candidates that straight out denounce him and don't want anything to do with him. So I think, and Mitch McConnell,
I want to say to everybody in the country, listen, when I first ran in NY27 3 years ago, I had Democratic leaders, elected people that are well-known, brand-name people around Western New York, call me and say, I want you to do well. Stop talking about Trump. Or I want you to do well. Why would you talk about Medicare for all? And, and even when I was trying to get the nomination this time, the big argument was, Nate, you're too out there. We need a middle-of-the-road guy. You're going to hurt the down-ballot candidates. Well, how has that worked out? I've helped down-ballot candidates. Look at my numbers. I perform better than even in Hamburg. Look at who I performed better than that. We performed better than the lieutenant governor in her hometown of Hamburg. And I'm not saying that to belittle her in any way. I'm saying, look, it didn't hurt me because Americans value people who stand up for what they believe in. And I want to say to everybody out there, we need to make this as simple as possible. And sometimes people get mad at me because they're like, you're too plain spoken. You need to be a little bit, but I want to say to them, this is not a university salon. I am fighting for what I believe in, and I speak to people about things they care about. I don't care about party rhetoric. I care about talking about, is your family okay? Are you able to fall in love and sleep with the person you want to? Are you able to take care of your children without having significant debt? Are those basic issues, basic needs being met? And I wish that we would be more bold about that, and also be more bold about the fact that President Trump is. I think the Democratic convention was great. It was intimate. It was good. What I worried about at the Democratic convention, however, is I think they should have even gone harder. Use the word fascism. Use the word authoritarianism. Say it. Because if you don't spell it out in plain language, people will not understand what we face, and it'll be too late. Thoughts, if any? Go ahead.
I heard a lot of criticism. There was a lot of criticism, from the progressive wing of our party, of the convention. But I think people forget that the Democratic convention is not about the Democratic Party. It's about selling the Democratic Party to the more than 70% of American voters who do not identify as Democrats. So if it seemed a little cottage cheese-ish, if it included an occasional Republican, these are things that we need to do to reach out and make sense.
I don't think it was cottage cheeses. I think I do think, however, that the values that I stand for are values that apply across the aisle.
They do.
They do. I mean, if you tell people you deserve health care, that's not a Republican position. That's not a Democratic position. That's just the right position, and people know it.
Yeah.
And if you say it, people know it. And if you say Donald Trump is a scam artist, if you don't listen, because this is the thing is, I was in sales for a long time. And I know what everybody, every person in the world has a very good, I don't use the word, but I'm going to use it in this context. They have I'll change it, baloney meter. They know when someone's lying. They know when someone is being fake. And when you say, hey, when you try too hard to show that you want to reach out to the other side, suddenly you look like a phony. And my team will tell you, I've been to gun clubs in Western New York, and I told them straight up my beliefs about gun safety. And I talk from a position of authority because I have a gun in my house, and I've been around guns my whole life, but I don't fake about what I believe. And I wish we were If you're not proud of the values you represent, nobody will believe in those values. They'll think there's something wrong with those values. That's what I believe. And listen, I think if you want to bring people over to your side, you better have something good to sell. And if you think, look, I'm not really sure about this thing I'm selling to you, no one's going to come over to your side. Amber, any thoughts, if any? Sorry, I'm a little bit a shot out of a cannon tonight. Go ahead.
I think that you're absolutely right, and it's not. I don't think necessarily about. I mean, from your point, maybe selling, but for me, it's about being confident in who you are and what you represent, where you came from, what you believe, and how you got to those beliefs. Of course, you always want to be open-minded, and I am always open-minded because I know that I come from a small little chunk of territory called the Tuscarora Reservation, and I didn't see a lot of things growing up. And then, I went to Niagara Wheatfield, and I still didn't see a lot of things. Then I went to Syracuse University. I saw a little bit more. But the world is so big, and I think that people don't not necessarily sell themselves, but they're not completely confident in who they are, and they're not open-minded. And you, Nate, you are open-minded, and you're really steadfast in who you are and what you believe in, and you're open about it. And
so Peter, to your point, Amber, and you are too. One of the things I like about you is there's only one Amber.
Thank you.
Peter, to your point, though, I want to say this. First of all, the Republican Party doesn't even have a platform.
No.
The first time in the history of the Republican Party, they do not have a platform. The Democratic Party has a 90-page platform that was argued robustly and that anyone can download right now. Right now. The Republican Party platform today is the same platform as the Mussolini had, Il Duce had, which is Mussolini is always right. Today we have Trump is always right. The platform literally says we follow the policies of President Trump, which is it's the same platform. It's obedience. We are obedient to Trump. If he says it, that's our position, which is terrifying. It is unlike anything ever done in American politics before. But let me talk about that for a second. In some ways, if you take a classical definition of conservatism, I am far more conservative than President Trump.
Yes.
Meaning that I believe in the fair market, not in crony capitalism. I believe we have to create a fair market that works better for regular people. I don't believe in special interest giveaways to the most wealthy. This is a man who went to Mar-a-Lago and said to the people of Mar-a-Lago, boldly, I made you all rich today, when he passed the 2018 tax cut. I made you all richer today. He didn't make us richer. So like when I hear people say, I'm a conservative, I support President Trump, I say, no, you're not. Now, I grew up reading William F. Buckley. I grew up with I am well-versed. You guys know my religious background. That's a faith that not only is socially conservative, so I understand that point of view, it's also conservative politically. And so I was around a lot of people that were bankers and lawyers and those type of people, and they gave me books to read. And you guys know my story. I didn't have a dad growing up, so I had a lot of father figures. And a lot of people would try to, because I was, a pretty precocious kid, they would try to give me things to read, and I'm well versed in conservative thought. These are not conservatives. These are illiberal people, meaning they are anti-democratic. And their number one belief, according to their own platform, is that the leader is right, and the leader is President Trump. And the same guy used to do bizarre infomercials. Did an infomercial in the White House. It was a disgrace. If I lose, so be it. But I will lose fighting for what I believe in, which is America. America. And I keep talking about civil disobedience and the incredible essay by Henry David Thoreau, Civil Disobedience, that says that we are a majority of one. That means we must listen to the still small voice within us, not what's popular, like what Chris Jacobs is trying to do, not to pander, but to say, what do I believe? And am I willing to put in the time and energy to sacrifice? Sacrifice means give up something, give up time to make phone calls. And I've always said break the machine. I got that from Henry David Thoreau. Because Henry David Thoreau said in his essay, Civil Disobedience, that we are the friction against the political machines, and that we must be that friction. And sometimes the machines must break. And this was a machine that needs to be broken. And we all have to be our part November 3rd. So I'm sorry to talk yours off tonight, because we haven't done this in a while. Peter, any last words for the people at home?
I just hope that people will district wide will see you for who you are, and understand that their well-being and the well-being of their families is your prime concern. We who know you understand that. And that they will cease voting against their own interests, cease voting for a tax bill that punished New York State specifically, tariffs that punished our farms right in our district, and on and on and on. But I'm fabulously optimistic about November, about the presidency, and about you as well.
Peter, I need your optimism, and I'm grateful for you. I'm so grateful for you. People like you, I can't thank enough. I mean, how can I thank a person who spent 3 years of his life committed to this campaign? Peter, our victory will be a victory of all the people like you who work together for this, and I am grateful to you, sir. Okay? I hope you know that. I'm grateful for you to be on tonight. Amber, last words.
Everything that Peter just said. Also, I'm sorry for my dogs barking in the background. That's all they do. I'm surprised they've been this quiet. But also, I think the biggest thing too is research your candidates. It's not that hard. Most candidates have a website. Nate has a website. If you want to volunteer, we do have a volunteer base that's growing. Like Nate said earlier, what was it again, Peter? grny27.com.
Yes.
So we have that grassroots group to be involved with. You can also volunteer specifically with the campaign. You can email Hunter at votemcmurray.com. He's our field director, to volunteer for the campaign. We're going to need a lot of hands, all hands on deck. And I think that it's extremely important to, like Nate was saying, don't sit on the sideline this time. You can make phone calls. There's plenty of things that you can do to get your hands dirty and feel as though you're clearly helping the campaign and to change everything, and obviously elect Nate, and just be more involved.
So listen, guys, I'm gonna get intense here. Tomorrow, I will be in where will I be? I will be in Elma, East Aurora. No, I thought I'm in Elma tomorrow.
Sturgeon Point, 11 a.m. in Derby.
Evan.
11 a.m. Evans, sorry.
Sturgeon Point, 11 a.m.
I know we have new. Okay, keep going. Where else am I?
That's right on the lake there, Sturgeon Point Marina, and then 1:30 at Hamlin Park in East Aurora. And
my schedule better than me. Then where am I then? I'm in East Amherst tomorrow night too.
Yeah, for a house party. Yep.
Okay, guys, come see me. We are social distance. We wear masks. I usually take it off when I speak, but we wear masks, and sometimes I wear a face shield, which is terribly awkward. But I'm trying my best not only to keep myself safe, but to keep the people that I have to meet safe. We even do our call time every day from a long distance, Amber and I. Guys, okay, here's the optimistic thing. We are, again, not 10,000 miles away. We are this close. Write letters. Write letters to the Buffalo News. Donate if you can. The donations matter. We had a pretty good month. We had a terrible fundraising month in July. I'm not going to lie. Part of it was my fault. I was just worn out. We had a great fundraising run for our standards, great. Maybe not to the standards that, some people are used to, but for our standards, it was very successful. And thank you, Amber. Our team is finally doing better.
As you can tell, I can't talk. My brain is mush. So.
Well, it's a long day, and then tomorrow, and then we have to have an even better month next month. So listen, if you look at the number of donations we have, it's incredible. We have tons of small donations, and so even if you can give $10, give $10. That matters. That helps. Give up coffee for a week or whatever. It matters. And if you can't do any of that, you can't write letters, you're not a good writer, You don't have any money. You can make phone calls, and those phone calls make a difference. I make them all day long, every single day.
Does.
And we need you to do it too. So let's go. Thank you, Torrin. Thank you, everybody. Torrin's at home operating the machinery. So thanks, everybody. See you later.
Victory is yours. Good night,
Watch the
everyone.
Lakers.